kind of relying on the idea from architecture that form follows function. So what is it we're trying to do, and in what way, what values are we trying to live and grow in through our work and through our time together? And so there's questions around what are we exactly, what type of entity, and I'm not here to present an answer, but that's some of the thinking that I've heard brought up over time in our meetings. So the incident command system is a structure that Karen brought up at coffee, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it in the slideshow because I don't have a lot of experience working in ICS. I have a little bit of surface experience, but this is something that Karen and probably others in the group have experienced through work or firefighting, EMS, those kind of medical care, those kind of fields. But it's essentially, as I understand it, the top down, so the commander, and then these generally 4 different realms of operations planning, logistics, and finance and administration. And all of that is feeding like information and advice and ground truth, ground knowledge up to the commanding officers. But so that was something brought up because it's a known system, it's defined, it's scalable from what I understand. And so there would probably be familiarity with this model within our group. The model that I brought up, and I did not have this drawing at the time, and don't let like these extra rings on the outside overcomplicate things. It's basically like a circle that connects other circles. Something similar would be like holacracy or a spokes council model. But it's where we have all these groups that are accomplishing work together and then meet kind of in the middle, and maybe that would be Tuesdays or / Wednesdays, like our Tuesday dinner assembly, sharing. Marty called it a stand-up meeting from his past jobs. So just where everybody gets the floor for a while and update. You can let us other folks know where you need help or opportunities for us to get involved or fundraise or and so that kind of information sharing is happening on Tuesday nights, in addition to, of course, just the fellowship and the time together. I've heard that from many people that Tuesdays are valuable for that. So I don't want it to become, at this point, I wouldn't want Tuesdays to become an absolutely hardcore, like, stick to business. Like, I like having some community time, but that's a question for the group as well. But anyway, and so so in this model, we've got the protests and demos group. That would be Sherry and other folks who put those protests on. The school support team, Ice Watch team that's just getting stood up, phone banking team now, and maybe some others that come up that we'll delve a little bit into in a moment. So just for an example, the school support is probably the most developed team at this point. They have a signal group, there's kind of a point person organizer, and then a team of people, and that team is made up of people that are in the signal group. They have some things, or specific tasks and responsibilities for putting on the school supply drive, and there's been some discussion about what the group might evolve into, perhaps adopting a classroom or a building or school, but something related to supporting education given the austerity and chaos that we want to help alleviate. So that's school support team. This one is a little less formal, but there's clearly people putting in time and energy to planning the demonstrations beyond just showing up, and making sure that there's water and signs for people that don't have them, and theme and flyer. So it's kind of a group that de facto, I mean, it's how it all started. But that would be another team that would be presenting on Tuesday nights. At coffee, the idea came up again about a safety and security team, like for our events and meetings, and just skills for keeping ourselves safe, each other safe. And so my question was, perhaps like this kind of a team would build an incident command system structure for specific incidents and have a response, and so that, and other teams, depending on other teams, if they're in that kind of a if a specific team wants to organize around the ICS, then, and it works for what they're accomplishing, then that's awesome. And then for building like the overall community or the movement of Wayfinders, then that's where I see more of the like circles of circles, more egalitarian, not so much a need for a command structure, but just some infrastructure to remain in communication and to be able to work together. So, for example, Ice Watch, once we get stood up more, will probably be in close connection and close contact with safety and security. Protests and demos, perhaps some of the hospitality and organizing team can do some work to support the protests and demos, like calling people on our list to invite them to come meet us and stand out for pick a day to come. And then school support, well, you get the idea. And school support is obviously building connections with the school buildings and the school board and the school district administrations. So those are additional circles coming in. So that's the kind of the community model. And then back to the safety and security team, they can organize themselves however makes sense for their goals, just like the school team did the same. And that might be a place for a more known structure that translates across, different agencies like ICS. A team that I would like to stand up might be called something like hospitality and organizing. I have also used the word navigators or facilitators in other meetings, but this would be, this is where like resources management would come into play, logistics, but also outreach and relationships, the hosting or convening nature of putting on events and bringing people together, and just that nurturing and nourishing team. So, and I don't know if that could be a lot of us that are already here, but the idea is, in order to continue bringing more people in, we have a core team of people that are focusing on this and building and able to help us build capacity in more ways to involve more people in the community. And if we wanted to do that, we could get ourselves a signal group, or if everyone just wants to be part of it, I don't know if it makes sense to just have it going on in the like the main chatter chat, but maybe it should be a side group, although it won't be a particularly narrow topic, because in the organizing and hospitality realm, there's a lot that we think about. So we should decide if we want this to be a separate group. People had talked about wanting to have a group, like a group to discuss the Tuesday meetings and making them better, and making sure that there's that we have what we need for the meetings and enough volunteers to greet people and stuff. Maybe that's part of this same group too. So we can talk about that. This is another topic we haven't gotten to delve into much together, but I think would be a good one. And maybe that's for a Tuesday night or a Wednesday coffee. And it's something that 4-5 has brought up. In an incident command system, my understanding is the decision-making process is pretty defined. It's pretty hierarchical, top-down. In this model that I drew up, I did not specify a decision-making process as far as, each group the way I would see it is kind of making decisions about their next steps and what they're doing. But some things should come back to the rest of the group, and we haven't talked about what kind of things that would be, or who ultimately gets to make a decision, like whether to reach out to the police departments or not, or what a logo looks like, or whether we interact with media. And so there are, and what are I guess points of agreement, like, so that we're not going off and having a group decide to have like an anti-Jewish protest, right? Like under our name. I mean, not just about Israel, but like if there was anti-Semitic, like, that would be out of bounds. And so we haven't really talked about how to make those decisions and what those bounds are. So I would be really interested in facilitating a group conversation about this in the future, if there's interest in that, or of course just sharing in the chat, in the main chat, I suppose, unless we're making a side chat for like facilitators, navigators. Then we might start that topic in there and bring it up on a Tuesday soon, to seek more thoughts. And I wanted to end with this slide, which is a not such a great version of a nice chart that Deepa Iyer created several years ago, about the different roles in a political and social change ecosystem, and kind of held together by values, but then different roles, and just end up seeing that they're all helpful, they're all useful, and it can be interesting to kind of reflect and think about what some of these circles you maybe fit into, or that describe you, or maybe that have in the past, and also like organizationally, like who do we have among us? So all good topics for future discussions, and I'm happy to prepare facilitated conversations on some of these topics. The name Wayfinders came from just like a prompt I gave at the end of the the first potluck, and about envisioning we were in the future, and recalling what was it that got us through. And that's when Karen said, her mom said, "You must find a way." And so I like to offer those kind of, I guess, guided prompts, or to help get brainstorming and just get the juices flowing. So I'm happy to do those at future Tuesdays or other times if that is desired, as we continue to grow and build and work together.